Continuing from the last video, suppose you have a problem like this. Even though they have decimals and fractions, you still want to compare the equations to see which of the two would be easier to work with. If you compare them, you'll see that the one on top has an x term, but no y term, whereas the one on bottom has a y and an x term. So in this case, that makes the one on top slightly easier to work with. What you want to do is get rid of the decimals. Usually you can do that by multiplying them by 10 or 100, because it'll make them large enough to get rid of the decimal. So we'll do this over on the side here. Now if you notice, 0.02 is the same as 2 divided by 100. 0.04 is the same as 4 divided by 100. So in this case, we're going to multiply everything by 100 to get rid of the decimals. So rewrite both sides of the equation, with 100 being multiplied to both sides. Because if you modify the equation on one side, you have to modify it the same way on the other. 100 times 0.02x is 2x. 100 times 0.04 is 4. Bring down the minus sign. On the right side, 100 times 0 is 0. So at this point, we've modified the original equation into a form that's easier to work with. All you have to do now is solve for x, and to do that you want to get x by itself on one side. So let's go ahead and add 4 to both sides. Then you have 2x equals 4. And to get the x by itself, you divide both sides by 2. So now you have x equals 2. So that takes care of one variable. Let's work on the second equation now. Everything's being divided by 5. As soon as you notice this, you have a way to start. This means you can cancel the 5s by multiplying everything by 5. 5 times 3/5 y is going to be 3y, because the 5s cancel each other out. When you multiply the 5 into the 6/5, the 5s cancel each other out, so just bring down the 6x. When you multiply 5 into 12/5, the 5s cancel each other out again, so just bring down the plus 12. We already have x, so we're solving for y. Y is already by itself on the left side. To solve for y, just divide everything by 3. And that's because the y is being multiplied by 3, so you want to reverse that. When you do that, you get y equals 2x plus 4. We know that x equals 2, which we found earlier, so you're going to take that 2, and you're going to plug it into this x, right over here. You got y equals 2 times 2 plus 4, which means that y equals 4 plus 4, which means y equals 8. So now we have our x and our y. So when you have problems like this one, where you have decimals and fractions, try to see if you can get rid of the decimals and the fractions to make the question much easier to work with. We found the answer, and we have everything we need for this problem. There's only one last step, but it's completely optional. This will be continued in the next video. Leave a comment below. Subscribing is free. Click the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons for more videos.